Bashers. You guys hearing an echo? I'm getting it in my headphones. I'm hoping it's just on my end. I had a computer crash, which is not fun. I had to restart at the last minute. Of course, it was 3 minutes to show time. So if you get in the chats, let me know if you're getting an echo. If not, then I'm going to take my headphones off. Anybody? Anybody? In the chat stage? I'd try this one. It's still the same. Alan Philpott, Big's first one to upvote. Come on, folks, hit that thumbs up. Sounds good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the headphones off because it's crazy. So I'm getting a lag. Of course, because it's my first show and it's firsts. So Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be me. And then with the Sheen, it's going to be on Wednesdays, classic iBashers, so to speak. Yeah, I had to turn my headphones off completely because it was crazy town. So I wrote a little thing to start off about firsts. And since it's my first show and I don't have the straight man to make the funnies. So first in life are pivotal moments that mark significant milestones. They often carry profound impact and shape our lives for future experiences. Man on the moon, first job, first love, etc. Transitioning from one monumental achievement to personal milestones, it could be something like the first time you bought a house or your first car or your first Rolex, which is in the chat. It was really scary because I am so petrified I'm going to blow it. I'm banging into things left and right. And here's Nathaniel. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you, pal. Appreciate it very much. So we're going out on the Sheen's channel right now and the iBashers channel. And as you guys know, I've been asking for the last couple of weeks if we could maybe move it over to the iBashers channel because he'll get like 4,000 views and then we'll get like 2 views on iBashers. So it's just a matter of moving on over to iBashers if you could. But yeah, so I thought we'd start the chat out with talking about firsts in the chats. And there is the lovely and talented Carolyn Merton. And Michaela. Oh, hi, honey. Are you going to come on the show? You should. So tell me about your first. Could be your first job, the first time you fell in love, first kiss, first car. I thought I'd start out by telling you a couple of my firsts. And like everybody pretty much knows that I'm a rock singer. I'm actually more a metal singer because that's kind of where I fell into. And I was in a band and still am occasionally in this band called Hitman. And we started in 1985. And I answered an ad in a newspaper because I had been in the formative stages of a band called Anthrax when I was very young, like 14 years old. And they went on to quite a bit of success. And they had gotten very, very heavy because a band had moved down the hall from San Francisco who were managed by the same manager, a guy named John Zazula. And I was, local guy. They were all local guys. Everybody's from Queens. And we were doing kind of Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden, Judas Priesty kind of music. And then this band moved in down the hall. And this band was Metallica. And they were absolute nobodies. It was James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, a guy named Ron McGovney, and Dave Mustaine on guitar. And both of those guys, one would get fired. Well, they both get fired, I guess, down the line. They were local, and they were trying to make their bones. And then very soon after that, they sent Dave Mustaine packing, and they got a guy named Kirk Hammett. And I don't know exactly. Well, that was after they switched to Cliff Burton, because Cliff was there pretty soon after. So I remember Scott Ian, who was the rhythm guitar player and the leader of the band Anthrax, he he said, "Man, we should be doing that shit." And I said, "Wow, that's really heavy." I didn't even know nobody had ever heard music like that before. It was so completely, and it was, they were carving a brand new kind of hard rock and heavy metal called thrash metal, and no one had ever heard of it. Hadn't been invented yet. It was being invented there in South Jamaica, Queens. It's called the Music Building, and it's pretty famous around here for local musicians because almost everybody's been in and out of there. And I was there when I was 14 playing with Anthrax. And then it just didn't really work out. I went back and took some more voice lessons. I had a great voice teacher named Marty Lawrence, and I wanted to be more of a Ronnie James Dio or Bruce Dickinson, one of those erratic guys, because Jeff Tate from Queen, he was a big idol of mine. And so that didn't work out. So I took a couple of years to trying to hone my craft and get my act together. And I was sitting in a bowling alley in Queens with my friends, and that's where we used to hang out and play Donkey Kong and stupid stuff. And my friend Eddie said, "Hey, look at this ad," and there was an ad in the newspaper. It said, "Hard rock heavy metal band from Long Island into like Striper and Queensryche and Iron Maiden looking for that style singer." And I was like, "Oh, that might suit me." So I called it turns out to be the drummer, Chuck. And I said, "Hey, how are you, mate? My name's Kennedy." Actually, I was Jimmy Kennedy. And I said I was British. And I said I was 21. I was 19. So these guys expected some seasoned British guy to come down to the rehearsal room and and you know you know blow everybody away. Well, it turns out we didn't rehearse that day. I brought a tape that I had made with like a boombox, and I sang like Dio covers or whatever, and they liked it enough. And the whole time I'm using a British accent and saying, "What's up, mate? Yeah, right. Well, I was in for a while in a band in London, then a place in Liverpool, and etc. etc." And they bought this for like 3 months. I joined the band the next day because we rehearsed and it went well. And because I had studied very earnestly, very young, so I pretty much had my shit together, um, and it worked out. And then I had to go to dine with them. I remember we were having a band meeting because there was a concert coming up, and this was about 4 months after we formed. And Striper, who is, by the way, a Christian metal band, and they're very, very good band, great musicians, amazing players, but, they throw Bibles out and they talk all their songs are about Jesus, but they're cool, if you wanna avoid the Christian-y hoo-ha, because these are guys that did a lot of blow and probably banked a lot of girls and, why do people generally find Jesus later in life? Because they would say stuff like to me, like, "Have you found Jesus yet?" I'm like, "No, I still haven't." I never lost him. Um But, so we had the opportunity to open up for Stryper for our very, very, very first show, and that was scary to me because we had never played anything, done anything, and this was gonna be for several thousand people. They were on their 2nd record, they were getting very popular, they had some songs on the radios because they were big into ballads, and, so we got the show, and I remember being scared shitless because, you do a lot of work, you rehearse enough, but am I good enough? And that's where a lot of firsts come into play. When you meet somebody, when you get a job, an interview, and, people ask you a lot of questions. Um, when you're in a band or when you're an artist, you wonder if you're good enough, and that's really scary. Um, and you don't know that you are until you do it. And sometimes you could be at the top of your game and sometimes not. So we played the show, and I remember we got outfits. We had like really stupid stage outfits. Each of us had like a kind of color and a character, like we were in Kiss or something, because the guys in my band were really big Kiss fans, as I was too. But I never wanted to pursue that kind of music per se, or that kinda look or sound, but our drummer was a licensed pyrotechnician, Chuck. So we had smoke and bombs, and we're opening up for a band. We'd never done anything live before, and, it was really, really kind of, arrogant. I think we were really arrogant. So played the show, and I remember absolutely none of it. Absolutely none of it. It went by like that. We did about 8 to 10 songs, and, that's all I remember, and that was my first show, and it was for probably like 2 or 3,000 people. I wouldn't suggest that for most people. I would suggest, playing for your friends and family, but then again, that can be scarier too, because, like, when people ask me, "Hey, get up and sing a song," I generally don't wanna do it. I generally wanna have rehearsal or, be a little bit more, prepared, so to speak. Uh, impromptu is not really my bag, and I remember everybody said, "Oh, the show was really, really great. You guys were terrific," and honestly, I remember none of it. 0, none of it. John Paleo, 1999. My first luxury watch I ever purchased. Back in 1983, I won $1,000 playing blackjack at a casino in Aruba. I went and purchased a Hoyer 2000 chronograph at the jeweler in a Concord hotel. I was 19. Wow. That's really, really young to get such a nice watch. I think Hoyer gets a real bad rap, you know? Um, when they were Hoyer, they were a more reputable company. I think when Tag got a hold of them, they tended to, become something lesser, even though they do make some great watches. Do you still have that watch? I'm gonna turn the headphones make me crazy because I hear the echo. I don't know what was going on. I'm pretty sure it's my computer because, like I said, my computer crashed right before we went live, and that scared the bejesus out of me. Oh, of course, 'cause I'm about to do the show, etcetera, etcetera, etcetera. So anyway, that was my first show we played, and we were we played a lot of shows. We played with Striper again many years later when they got huge, opened up for a lot of big bands. I didn't get to do arenas like Oisin did. He got to open up for Van Halen and The Who, and I never got to do that. For some reason, we always did the bigger clubs or theaters, and, we did open up, ready for this, for Poison on their first tour, but you know what? I found this. I'm gonna show this to you. I think you'll find this amusing. I found this online, and it's a ticket to the very first show we ever played, November 11th, 1985. Nassau Concerts presents, and this is somebody's ticket stub for Striper at Nassau Community College. Somebody saved their ticket stub, and I'm amazed by that 'cause I never had a ticket stub, but you know what I do have? I might have it here. I do. You ready for this? Watch this. I found this. I can't believe I found it. Hold on. Let me get this up. Will this not go off? Uh, yeah. Hold on 1 second. Oh, here's a picture of my band, so you guys know what we look like. This is when we played in Germany, about 4 years ago. We got back together. We played for a long time, put out a bunch of records, and then we found out we had toured in Europe, and then we found that we had a big following over there, and we were asked to play festivals. So we regrouped after about 20 plus years, and we actually put our first record out, Hitman Destroy All Humans. We put that out 2 years ago, and it was our first album in 27 years. And this was us playing at the Keep It True Festival in Lauda Königshofen in Germany, and that was pretty freaking fantastic. We had a great time. We were rehearsed for that one, and we kind of knew what it was going to be like, and it was pretty great. So this is something I found, and you'll find this really amusing. This is a Bible that Stryper throw out to their crowd when they play shows. And this I got from them on that date, and they all signed it for me. You want to hear these? Are funny, right? Dirk, God bless Michael Sweet. Dirk, God rules Robert Smith. JC rocks Oz Fox. And Dirk, Jesus is cool. I mean, crazy. So that was my first. Anybody else in the crowd ever perform live, or it could be comedy, it could be an actor, first time you were on a set, first time you performed. There's a thing about being a fraud, and I think we all have it. No matter how good people say you are, or people say you aren't, but no matter how much work you put into it and how much rehearsal and dedication, I think when it comes to performing live, I think that most artists, even if they're arrogant people, because I always generally find that, and I'm going to get back to my Poison story in a second, because you're going to laugh your ass off. Um, I think even the most arrogant people, I think that the arrogance is misplaced. I think that they're so insecure that they put on this guise of being a dickhead. And I had met Ronnie James Dio very, very young when I was a big fan of his, and he was my vocal mentor. And I found him at a hotel, and he was playing with Black Sabbath, and I got to meet him. And my friend Larry said, "Oh, he's a singer." And he immediately went, "Oh, it's nice to meet you. What are you pursuing?" He was so elegant and eloquent, and he took a shine to me in a mentory way, and he gave me his a place to write to him. So I started corresponding with him. And he told me, "Well, this is what you should do. This is how you should take care of your voice." Uh, if he had a teacher in mind, I already had a voice teacher, but I actually wound up going to the voice teacher he recommended for a while. So I had learned earlier on, I think, about humility and keeping one's ego in check. Because here's a guy that was at the top of his vocal game, who was so incredibly kind, and I think that really, really changed it for me, because I'd met a lot of dickheads. I met the guys in Aerosmith, because me and my friends had a car. My friend Larry had a car. We called it the Green Manalishi, and we used to tail our favorite bands, Rush, Kiss, Queen, everybody, and occasionally we get to meet them. And we met Aerosmith, and they were just such complete dickheads. They were wasted for sure. Uh, but here's a funny story about uh, somebody who is a colossal dick. We opened up for Poison on their first tour. They hadn't broken yet, because it was a club gig on Long Island. And we get there, and we don't see any of the guys. Only the guitar player, Stacey DeVille, was a little bit drunk, but he was very, very nice. And the road manager came up to me, and he saw the gear we had, and he said, "Is that a wireless microphone?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Is it yours?" I said, "It is." And he goes, "Well, I need to use it." I said, "I don't understand." He goes, "Well, Brett's mic doesn't work, and he needs one for the show." And I had just gotten it. And I was like, "Oh, I'd rather not." He said, "Well, how about this? How about you get absolutely no sound check, no lights, no monitors? You want that, or you want me to use it?" I went, "Oh, okay." So I gave it to him, and um, we played our show, and then they played their show, and I left my microphone with them. And this was like a $10,000 microphone. I still have it. It doesn't really work. I wish it did, because it sounded great. And it came back covered with silly string, like inside the microphone element. It was completely covered, like, because the fans used to spray silly string on them. And I didn't realize, because I didn't watch their set, because I was totally not interested, because I just don't like that kind of music. And Brett Michaels walks up to me, and he hands me my microphone, which had been destroyed. The whole inside of it was covered with this gook. And he goes, "Nice mic. Bet it won't work for you tomorrow, and go fuck yourself." And that was Brett Michaels. That was my friend. That's why I've never had people say he's a nice guy. I'm like, he's not a nice guy. He's a dick. Um, so anyway, that was when we got to play with Striper. And I got to meet a lot of really interesting people along the way. Um, but somebody who just asked me if I ever met Lemmy. Uh, Dizu or Diz, have I ever met Lemmy? I have. I met him twice. Once at a Motorhead show that we went to, and another time we were in LA in the late, it was 89 or 90, and we went to the Rainbow. And who are you going to run into at the Rainbow? Are you going to run into Lemmy? And that's who we ran into. And he was drunk, but super cool. And he's Lemmy. So he's a complete legend. Um, so, yeah, I met a lot of people. I met most of my idols growing up, the guys in Maiden. I met all the guys in Rush. I never met Neil Peart because he never was around. I stood next to him when he entered the Parker Meridian Hotel. He actually started a correspondence with a childhood friend of mine named Brad. Because if anybody knows uh, anything about Rush at all, they're very cerebral, and their drummer is their lyricist, and he's an avid reader. And he doesn't like to talk to people on the phone. He prefers, handwritten correspondence. But he did that for years with my friend Brad. He's sadly not with us anymore. He had a big brain, and his big brain gave him glioblastoma, and he died in January 2020. And it was a big loss to the rock world. Um, so Nan Zero says my sound really sucks. Is that true? Because I took my headphones off because it sounded bad to me, and I don't want to restart the show and be a dickhead. OC, the original is watching. Hey, OC. I guess Ashin's not here. We can do a kiss until we're blue in the face, right? I saw Poison open for Loudness in Los Angeles before they made it big. You could tell immediately they were going to be huge. They blew everyone away. Well, at that time, you know, um, rock was going through that big hair, the term hair metal, which I resent because not that I ever had big hair, I had long hair until actually I grew it back and I just cut it off really recently. During the pandemic, I grew my hair as long as it used to be, like to my waist. Why I did that, I don't know, because it was a pandemic. Um, that's what middle-aged men do. They grow beards and they grow their hair long. I did it actually because I thought when we played these shows in Europe that I looked like a banker. And I was like, oh, I don't want to look like a banker. How about I'll grow my hair out. And then the pandemic happened and then there were no shows to be had. So now I got short hair again and I'm happier with it. But whatever. So Poison. Yeah, you could tell because rock was going through a big transition then. And everybody's hair was getting higher. The outfits were getting really, really stupid. Everybody was wearing spandex and leopard skin ripped t-shirts and just bandanas galore and tons of jewelry and bangle spangled crap. I mean, the guys were hotter than the chicks for the most part. I mean, if that's your persuasion, it's not mine. But Steel Panther, if you guys know who they are, that's what everybody looked like back then. And Poison took it to an extreme. They had this over the top show, and it was very flashy and glittery and day glow, and everybody was doing this whole crazy, crazy thing. So yeah, I mean, I can imagine they were at the forefront of the glam metal experience. Rat, Poison. I hate to put Warrant in there because I think that they were good writers. I think Janie Lane was an exceptional writer and singer, and I think he got lumped in there. Had they not looked like that, I think their trajectory would have been different. But then again, they might not have made it because there was a point. I've been watching a lot of, listening to a lot of Rush lately. It's one of my all-time favorite bands, and every once in a while you go through a rabbit hole. And I read Geddy Lee's book. He's the bass player, and he said that they had made 3 records in a row that did okay, but their 3rd record was dismal because they had gotten very progressive and experimental and more concept oriented. And they were told by the record company, you got to change your look, you got to change your sound, you got to toe the line and look like everybody else. And what did they do? They put out 2112, which was none of those things. So there are bands that refuse to join the crowd and be a part of it, and I respect that. And I think you kind of keep your integrity. I think a band like Warrant didn't because Poison was always like that. They're shitty singer, blah, whatever bass player, crap drummer, good guitar player, believe it or not. He's good. He's just slumming in that band, but that's how he made his money. And I don't begrudge anybody for, there's nothing noble about being a starving artist. I and I don't know whose quote that is. It's probably Shakespeare, and I hope it is, because if Shakespeare was really one person, because if you look at, and I'll tell you about our sellout period, and it's the most insufferable, horrible experience ever. Um, all of the great artists, Michelangelo, Bernini, all of them, they were all commissioned artists. Da Vinci, they were all commissioned by either the Pope or the Medicis. So these were not, I'm painting for my own art. I'm painting for my heart, my soul. These were paid works. They were commissioned artists making money with their art. They were not starving artists like Van Gogh was. I mean, later on, there was plenty of those people. But, look, he died a horrible death, and as did most. Uh, how many artists have you heard about that didn't make it, or that they killed themselves or whatever? There's nothing noble about being a starving artist. If you have the chance to get a leg up by, you know, putting a wig on, or wearing spandex, or wearing shiny clothes, or making a stupid video, while it might not be the most smart thing to do for you personally, while you might feel begrudgingly towards the people who made you do it, the reason why they're telling you to do that in the industry is because that they feel that they could market you. Sure, it's it's great to stick to your guns. It's a great thing to stick to your guns. Um, but if you don't, you can always kind of see what happens in the sellout period. I mean, it could happen. There's a lot of bands out there that have sold their souls and done very well for themselves. And then maybe, like Bon Jovi's a great example. They made two records that didn't do very well. Then they got together with Desmond Child, and um, had that monster "Slippery When Wet" record. Richie Sambora is an amazing lead guitar player. He's an incredible blues guitar player. John was a great singer. He was a great singer. But they just got lumped in with that hair metal fluffy shit. Yeah, they changed. They figured it out. Keep the Faith, New Jersey. They slowly got off that hayride. They got off of that glammy metal. They were able to do it. Um, U2, not that they're in that category at all, but they started out as these earnest journeymen. We take ourselves too seriously. Everybody, Bono driving everybody crazy with his nonstop talking about Greenpeace and NATO and all that stuff. It's annoying to people who just want to rock out and forget, where their life for an hour or two when they're at your concert. What did they do? They made a movie called Rattle and Hum. They looked like absolute stuck-up idiots and morons, and they said, "Oh shit!" And then they came out with Octoon Baby, and they changed it all. And uh, the rest is history. They are great artists, and they stuck to their guns artistically, but found a way to twist it up. Now, in my world, we're a metal band, kind of classic, semi-progressive metal, operatic metal. There's a lot of really high singing and screaming, metal screams and all that stuff, which I had perfected to an art, because this is the Olympics. It wasn't even uh, artistic. It was, I had to have certain tool set in order to pull that off. In order to compete in that milieu, you had to have a certain tool belt. So I studied with this great guy named Marty Lawrence. His son Don teaches Lady Gaga and everybody. He's like one of the biggest guys in the world. Marty was an old guy. He was on 72nd Street. He taught out of his apartment. He had Melissa Manchester and Jolyn Turner and lots of Broadway stars. It was not like some pop vocal guy. But I said, listen, and I played him a bunch of stuff. I said, I need to get here. So I got to that point where we were doing all that stuff. So we got some respect. First record came out. We had a lot of great press, amazing press. Sales, but the press was excellent. And then we took like 4.5 years to put our second record out because we had a lot of, this is anybody who's ever been in a band or you're an actor or you're an artist of any kind, you are at the mercy of the people that make the decisions. This old adage, hurry up and wait. I think that that's where, uh, I think that is where actors who are on the set came up with that. It's the same with bands. You have to wait till you get your budget. You have to wait till you get your advance. You have to wait for this before you can get in the studio and make your record. Well, our record did really well. We didn't get to tour for the first record, and we didn't get to make a video because we had this record company in Germany that was just not on the ball. So it took like 4 years to get our second record together, and by that time, the musical landscape had changed. So we had done all of these demos in the interim, like maybe made like 4 or 5 records in between, worth 4 or 5 records in between worth of music, and we had recorded like 2 sets of demos that sound like the pussiest White Snake. Not that White Snake is terrible, but when you have like lyrics like "swallow my love" and grotesque asexual innuendo and horrible. I mean, next to the Scorpions, David Coverdale, who they both possess two of the greatest voices in rock, they have got the worst lyrics in history of the world. Absolutely terrible. So we had done a couple of demos that were along the lines of that crap, and it was so bad. And we compromised, and for our second record, which I like a lot, it's called Vivis Machina. It came out in '93. But I had adopted this new, and you guys want to experiment, it's all available online. Hitman and the first album is just called Hitman, the second one's called Vivis Machina. I had learned a new trick, and you can teach a young dog a new trick, and I was a pretty young dog. I had learned how to sing raspy. Like, late at night and we worked all day. We both got jobs because there's bills to pay. I had learned how to do that, which is totally not the way I sing naturally. I'm a much more operatically, motivated singer. So we thought, in our infinite wisdom, that we should apply a couple of those things and I don't even know how I did that shit live because it hurts me to do it now because I haven't done it in ages. But when you're young and your vocal cords are fresh and you've got time on your side, I started doing a lot of that stuff on our recordings, and that was a first mistakes. Holy shit, did we get backlash like there's no tomorrow. There was some very progressive operatic hoo-ha on that record, but we'll always be remembered making a couple of songs on that record that sounded like they were a Bon Jovi single. And that was my very first professional mistake. First, they happened and they changed your life. First gig changed my life. The first time, you get a job. My dad had a bar in Queens Boulevard. My dad worked for American Airlines for 40 years, but on the side, he had a bar. I've been bartending my entire life. Certain things, obstacles, things uh, uh, that get in your way, things that come your way, they change your course, the road that you're on. Some people get like right off the top, right into a movie, right to a major label deal, and then some people don't. We did. And I remember when I met Mr. North, a Sheens fan, walked into a bar, had no intention of staying. My friend Mary and I were there for a drink, and we saw this band, and they were absolutely incredible. And so we stuck around for the whole show because they were so great. I said this to a million people, and I'll say it live on the air. I had never seen a local band as good as one of the big professional bands, and that's exactly what I thought when I saw them. I She wanted to stay because she thought the singer was cute. I wanted to stay because the guitar player had a guitar that reminded me of Rush, and I said, "Oh, let's stick around. They have some cool gear." And right from the jump, they were fantastic. Singer was outrageous. Band was amazing. All of them are standouts. Incredible drummer, very unique guitar player, an incredible bass player, and he also played keyboards. Machine. He's a classically trained pianist, and I remember we became friends rather quickly. Um, and I remember when they got their big deal, and then the shit hit the fan for them. And it was like, they should have been, and I still feel this to this day, that first album has like 4 singles on it. Could have been massive. Could have been a massive album. And it should have been. If you don't have it, it's called Life Size. And I have all the demos. And you get this thing called, musicians get this thing called demoitis. When you hear the demos first and you fall in love with these songs, you never like the record. And while I love the record, I still hold the demos in a very special place in my heart, as I do with my own material. Because sometimes you just can't top a demo. Bands have put out demos, and not everybody's the Beatles. The Beatles would go in and craft the songs as they went. They'd write 4 songs in a day and record them. So those were really the demos. Now it's almost like we do too much homework. We're doing so much homework, uh, and you lose the spontaneity, lose the passion. Um, Something happens from writing to demo to the album recording, final recording, that it's very, very rare that you top it. It's very rare. Sometimes if you get a great producer, and while I've worked with my share of producers, I didn't. We worked with a guy named Bob St. John, who we still work to this day, and the guy's a mixing genius. Uh, he didn't record our last record, but he mixed it and he made it sound competent, made it sound like we spent money on it, and we didn't. We did it in I did it right on this mic, all the vocals on this mic, in the same little studio environment I have here. Wrote whatever songs I wrote on the record here. It's not like we went into the big studio and you had the budget, mic placement, tape ops, tape operators, and people getting you coffee and tea. That's what we did back in the day. And that's what Mr. North did on their first record. They had Jerry Harrison from Talking Heads. That record probably cost, $250,000. I never had that kind of budget for a record. I think our biggest budget was like 50 grand because we were on an independent label. We came this close to being on Mercury Records, Polygram, a big, huge major label, but because of the press we had, and we lost the deal. It took a year to lose it because our small little independent label wanted $1 million to let us out of our contract. And we were a band that sold probably 60, 70,000 records, maybe. And it was all through magazines. We were on the cover of European magazines. We had amazing press. So now it was like that logical progression would be you go from your small label to your big label, you build your career. But we had this label in Germany that just didn't want to let us. They wanted to let us go, but they wanted the money. And the major label were like, whoa, that would be the whole budget for the record, for touring, for making videos, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I remember when it came around to Mr. North, they wanted to change the name of the band. And here's something Shakespeare did say: "What's in a name? It doesn't matter if you call yourself Joe Blow and the Schnauzolas. It doesn't matter, you know, Lexi, Sex, and the Hot Sluts. It doesn't matter because once you establish a brand, not everybody can be Kiss, Queen, U2, these catchy little things. Gene Simmons always says that one syllable, maximum 2-syllable, one-word bands have the most longevity. I mean, he's wrong, but I get it. Uh, they wanted to change the name. I think they wanted to change Mr. North to The Gain. And I remember, what the fuck does that mean? The Gain? Sounds like a laundry detergent. So they started goofing around, and then what happened? They took so long. The record is done, and it's great. It's amazing. But they're in inner turmoil. Executives love to get shuffled around. This is exactly what happened to us. We lost our guy. He left. And then we had a guy that didn't like us. They had the same thing. Your first deal, your first record deal. My first record deal was with a German label that opened an American office and had an amazing guy that we loved running the American label. The actual day, and I'm not kidding you, it was the actual day that our album was to be released worldwide, they shut down their American offices. I got a phone call from a guitar player. He said, "Dirk, they closed." I said, "Who's they?" Because the record label. I said, "What do you mean they're gone?" He goes, "No, they shut down their American office." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" So, well, it means we have a warehouse full of records and no way to distribute them. And I called this guy Mike Schnapp, who has worked for CBS, worked for a lot of big labels, big famous guy in the music industry, lovable teddy bear, still love him to this day. He says, "I don't know what happened. I had to quit because they shuttered everything." And our record got caught up in limbo for over a year and a half, and it wound up going through Germany and coming into the United States via import a year later. We did stupid stuff. Like we had a manager, and he said, "You have to stop the records at customs." So we tracked the records when they had licensed our album to a Roadrunner Records, a label here, and they tried to make nice with us, and we were total dickheads to them. There's a guy, and I'll apologize to him on here. This guy Monty Connor, who was an amazing guy, incredible guy, would have been a great guy to put your trust in to guide your career. We should have just let it go. But we're like, no, 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 we're going to sign with this big company. We fucked up. Mr. North, they wound up. Clive Davis came back to to their record company as the czar, and they wound up leaving with their record. They didn't have to pay anything back, which was great, but the momentum was gone. They had tremendous bite, and that's the first losing your first deal, which is exactly what happened to us. So going through that was, but then you get guys like Bret Michaels, who's seriously a shitty singer. Does it matter? It doesn't. There's a lot of shitty artists out there that do well commercially, and it doesn't matter. And I've learned over the years to not resent it because you know, I mean, what is art? Art is subjective. Art is what art is to you. You know, I mean, I have my first Rolex, first, my first Rolex. I mean, it's crazy, and I'm afraid of it. I'm an Omega guy in the Rolex world. So firsts can change how you feel about so many things. My first gig changed the way I approach live shows. My first show reminded me that it's going to go really, really fast and don't worry about it so much. Having said that, when you're away from it for a long time, like we hadn't played in 27 years, I had a little band that I played with for a little while, briefly, but on a big stage, you know, the German festival was huge. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And then we played Greece the next year in Athens, a little bit more comfortable there. It was like a first all over again. You that's what it does, experience. Your first job, your first interview, it it takes you on a road that you you couldn't have been prepared for until you experience it. Your first relationship. Uh, you got to go through a couple of losers before you find the one, right? Right. I mean, I didn't date very many people till I found the one, but 34 years later, I'm pretty lucky. I don't change bands or people or jobs very often, but that's how that's how those first affected my life. I don't know how the first Rolex is going to affect. It's going to make me want more Rolexes. Is that is that really going to happen? I hope not. Space Ace super sticker, €1.19. I love that price. That's very, very cool. Space Ace. Yeah, yeah. I can't. I have no way of checking my sound, but I honestly think I'm in store for this computer's been through the mill with me. I have a big iMac. It was the greatest computer in the world like 7 years ago, but I think I've murdered it with all the music I've made here, and it's been acting a little stupid lately, but I'm very technical, so I'll either figure it out for tomorrow, and tomorrow's gonna be the Oisin show, uh, Oisin and I, the classic iBashers. Um, Carolyn says, "Remember to upvote." It would be nice. It would be nice if you would check in on the iBashers channel as well, because what happens is we go out on the Sheen's channel because that's where we all met. That's the firsts we all met. Um, but this channel is a little bit different. We also have the fashion channel with the lovely and beautiful Michaela. Um, so yeah, if you could do that, and thank you, Carolyn, for that. Um, Steel Panther is so much fun at festivals. I've never seen them live. I've just watched all their videos, and I think it's absolutely freaking amazing. Daniel Gutierrez says, "Hey OC, hey OC, hey OC, throw me a trivia question, like a real one, like a real one. I'm not looking at anything." So, um, U2 music is overrated. Doesn't age well compared to the greats. I completely disagree, but that's the beauty of art. You know, I don't get Kandinsky or a lot of that stuff. That just goes over my head. I like the greats. I mean, I like classical, like Rembrandt and Picasso. Even like I get some of it, but I don't get Pearl Jam. I don't get it. But that doesn't mean they're not great, right? I don't get it. The Grateful Dead, one of the biggest bands in the whole world, the biggest touring entity that's ever slogged around the world. I never understood the Grateful Dead. It's so boring to me, but I get you too, and I get you too, Epic Paul. Uh, Manuel Somante. Which sound do you like more, Stratocaster or Telecaster? Well, listen, folks. Everyone needs to have a Telecaster. Not everyone needs to have a Stratocaster, and that's a fact. Telecasters do one thing so supremely well. They do lots of things, but you have to have a Telecaster in your arsenal. And I went shopping all over the world for a Stratocaster with, I was talking to Emmett, Machine's brother, my good buddy, who's I'm not a guitar player. I'm a singer who can play a little bit and can write songs on guitars. But I love the gear. I love the stuff. I like to collect them. I have way too many guitars for a singer. I have two microphones. I went looking all over New York City for a Stratocaster, and I hated them all. I hated the way they felt. I have one. I have one now, and it's okay. It's not a great one. It's good Japanese, which are actually very fine quality. Uh, a little bit better than the Mexican ones, but I found a Telecaster that it never it's right behind me. It never ever. Here it is. Here it is, right here. It's an American. This crazy color. It's see-through teal lacquer, and it's absolutely freaking gorgeous. This thing, and I got it for $800 at Guitar Center because nobody wanted it because of the color. And it is the top of the line one that they make. It is the custom shop American. I think I've talked about this before. I don't want to bore anybody, but Telecaster, so for sure. Yeah. Rufus, along came grunge and indie rock and put an end to metal heyday. You know, yes and no. For here, for sure. And I'll tell you a very funny, for instance. We opened up for Queensryche last year. So my band, we get together every once in a while. We'll make another record, but everybody does other stuff. But we get to play festivals in Europe and get to feel like rock stars. Everybody knows the lyrics to our songs, and it's really humbling. We didn't know that was going to happen. We went to Germany. I opened up my mouth, and the crowd was singing the song. And I turned to my guitar player, and I was just the wind got sucked out of me because it was so incredible. Because in Europe, metal never died. The people that loved the metal in the 80s, loved it in the 90s, had kids, turned their kids onto the metal, and so on and so on and so on. So when we play these festivals, there's thousands of people there, and they're anywhere from in their mid-60s to 15, 14. They bring their kids, maybe even their grandchildren. And everybody loves all the music. They wear the metal clothes. It looks like 1985. They got spiked wristbands. They have band shirts, Saxon and Iron Maiden and Motorhead, and it never died. Here, like I said a minute ago, we opened up for Queensryche, who were the progressive kings of 80s, 90s metal with a couple of hit singles, not like a band like Dream Theater that would never have a hit single, but amazing players, too amazing. Um, we opened up for Queensryche. We played this theater up in Poughkeepsie, upstate. It was beautiful theater, the Paramount. And let me tell you something. The audience sat down. They were all elderly, pretty much. I saw wheelchairs. I saw oxygen tanks, masks, all kinds of infirmed people, because the crowd was the same crowd that everybody played to 30, 40 years ago. No one. There was maybe 4 or 5 young people in the audience, tops. It was and no one stood up. Like, I don't think I've ever played a show where people weren't standing. They were seated like dinner theater. That was scaring the living bejesus out of me, and I didn't even know what to do. I mean, you just gotta do your show the way you do your show. I mean, that's what I did, and it was weird, and that show didn't go very fast because and then the monitors, we all have these fancy in-ear monitors now because, we're so modern, and that makes a big difference. If you see anybody with them, I wear them on the podcast a lot, but I'm not wearing them now, because they close off everything. They're very insular. Basically, you get an amazing monitor mix that you would get from the floor wedges. Um, they all went out 3 songs into our show, so I had to pull it out and just wing it, and that's fine. When you play we probably played hundreds and hundreds of shows in our time, and you get used to stuff when it goes awry, and that's fine. First failures, first meltdowns on stage, that happens. Um, Steve Albini Rufus says Steve Albini wrote a great article about getting signed in Maximum Rock and Roll. It was called "This Is How Fucked You Are If You Signed a Record Deal." Now, like I said before, Mr. North didn't have to pay their advance back. Now, their advance was what, $250,000 at least. So that record was expensive. They had a top producer, and they had every studio. They were out in San Francisco at the plant, and I mean, that's how people used to make records. Records were expensive. It's like videos back in the day. Now we all have iPhones in our pocket and Final Cut Pro. We can all make, like, I made 3 Hitman videos that I told everybody, shoot this with your phone, send it to me. I threw it in Final Cut and make it, and I use lighting effects, and we have all the stuff. Back in the day, you had a big director, and those videos, Michael Jackson videos, cost millions of dollars. But the average Whitesnake or Bon Jovi, those were $500,000 expenses. Records cost, I think Def Leppard spent something like $5 million on Hysteria. I mean, it's ridiculous, but the money was there then, and the money was worth something. That's $10 million now. It's crazy. We spent, like I said, 50 on the second record. Our first record, we borrowed money from our parents, and I think we got 17.5 to finish it from our German record company. Yeah, I don't know. Tom Voss, go Dirk, go. Thanks. Green face smiling. Don't have any money, but upvote. It doesn't matter if you don't have any money. Upvote. It's not about the money at all. Topster McDonkey. I love that Milgauss, but the Z Blue is the one. I thought it was fugly until I held one. It's a tropical beach vacation on your wrist. Listen, I'm not going to shit on the Z Blue. The funny thing about it is, and then you can ask Sheen anytime he's on here and anybody else about this one. And I love the Z Blue is gorgeous. There's no doubt about it. I'm a Mets fan, so I like orange and blue. So you would think that's how it would work, right? Well, no. I saw this one first, and I saw it in person first, and I held it first. And I thought that the juxtaposition of the matte black dial and let me present this. Hold on. Take a picture, share screen, Milgauss, right? I thought the juxtaposition, you're not going to connect, of there you go. There you go. See, that's the Z Blue dial right there, right? I thought that the black one, the contrast was better because you could see the orange popped a little bit more. Listen, that's a sunburst dial. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's no doubt about it. But the other thing is, on the black one, is the green sapphire crystal on the black one is far more evident. There's something about the Z Blue dial that kind of sucks up, because green is blue and yellow, right? If you look at the primary color chart, how do you make green, blue, and yellow? So the blue kind of straight on cancels out. You don't see the green at all on the edge of it until you turn the Z Blue on its side. On this one, You see it throughout. I mean, yeah, you get a good view on the side, but on the Zebu one, that was just how I thought it worked. Um, and Omega doesn't have any green crystals. I don't think anybody has any colored crystals, right? And I am an Omega guy. I'm a big Speedmaster fanatic, and I would say that thanks to the viewers and all the beautiful people that so wonderfully got me this watch. And look what I got. I got this just for this, right, kids? I bought a Sheen has one, and he does it all the time, right? Isn't that amazing? I got a UV flashlight. And you know what's cool about this one is that 3, 6, and 9 are green, and all the other indices are blue. I don't know how many other watches do that. My Omega, which it's right here. Is it right here? Yeah. My Omega. This is an old girl. She's old. But I mean, I could probably have it serviced and they would totally fix this. But hey, that's pretty damn good, right? The hands are dead. The hands are completely dead. You know, but that's not bad. These UV lights are amazing. But Loom is fun. Dress watches don't have them, and that's okay. Topster says, "Yeah, I started with an Explorer 39B, and now I have 4 rollies. Wow, which ones do you have? Do you have Zeepu Milgos? See, we can talk about watches and not just rock and roll. We never really get to talk about that on the other shows. Sound is grand, thank God, because my computer's acting not fun. It's not happy. After the show, I'm gonna turn it off and figure out what's going on. I think I know what it is. I think I can fix it because I fixed a lot of Macintoshes in my life. James upvoted. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Can we call your fan base Dirk heads? Sure. I love that. That's pretty great. There is no later. This is an hour show. The Dirk Weekdays is going to be 5 to 6. I had it wrong. I changed it earlier. It was 6 to 7. And that is because I do not want to go over when I know that most of you guys or girls are still watch aficionados and you've got Timmy to watch. And listen, he's been doing it a really long time and he's a great friend. And, Timmy time. You got to kiss a few frogs before you find your prince. You know what? You got to kiss. I mean, back in the olden days, you kissed one person, you slept with one person in your entire life. Being a gay dude, I had a chance to be a little bit slutty, not so slutty, but enough to know what I liked and I didn't like. And I kept that part really, really brief and got shacked up and never looked back. And I'm grateful for that. Jan Kosigan says, interesting how as we grow older, we tend to close ourselves off from new first experiences. Our curiosity wanes. Now, what a great comment. Isn't that the truth? I think, I love to stay home. Like I just went out. The first time I've been to a restaurant I couldn't tell you when. I went out with Nathaniel, who's a friend, and that's another first. I've known him for a couple of years now, right? Never met him in the flesh. He was everything I hoped he'd be. Charming, incredibly wickedly smart, devilish, all of those things in person. And really, his humor, believe it, and we talked about his humor before, like his humor that when you write stuff doesn't translate. You got to be in his presence to really get the full Nathaniel effect. We had a great dinner. We went out to this restaurant, and it was pretty good. It was. I actually picked it because it was a place that was near where I used to work, and it looked great. It was Middle Eastern-ish, hummus-y, baba ganoush kind of place, and everything was great except for the fact that they basically wanted to take your knife and fork out of your hand and your plates out of your hand. The service was so overbearing that, like, I would my they this is another thing. I'm a wine guy. I know a lot about wine, but I'm not a wine dick. Sheen, I, our partners, his brother and Dana, whom you all know and love, we all drank a lot of great wine, so we know a lot about wine. We've drank it, we've tried it, we have opinions about it. We could talk about wine. Thursday, let's talk about wine. Let's do it. I picked a $36 a glass. I don't have a job right now. $36 a glass wine because I didn't like anything that was on there. And it was a Pauillac, and and it was Pomerol. Pomerol, I love Pomerol, Patrice's Pomerol. And it was very good. They measure it out into like a little decanter, and they pour it in your glass, and they put it on the side for when you're ready. This guy kept coming and filling up my glass. Now, I don't want anybody filling up my glass. I'm not that kind of guy. Leave the stuff there. If I need something, I'll get it. It was a great experience. We had a great time. It was great company, but man, it was really hilarious because when we did want them, no one was to be found. Right? If you're still in the room, Nathaniel, holy schmagoli. Captain Crunch, Dirk, you're doing amazing. Oh, thanks, buddy. Please DM the name of the bar you work at. I don't right now because I did an episode about how after all the hard work I did and how I thought I was doing a great job there, we got a new manager. He didn't like me and he fired me. So yeah, out of nowhere, I had a great following. Really enjoyed the people I worked with. I enjoyed the owners a lot. Well, some of them. One of them I didn't. Uh, but this new manager came in, and we didn't butt heads per se, but he had a lot of ideas. He told me that, "Oh, I'm going to clean up this place. I'm going to do that." He actually asked me to move my bag and my jacket from this cupboard behind the bar to a room upstairs, which I've seen multiple cockroaches in. And I said, I'm not putting my bag there. I had my bag and my thing in a plastic bag in a cupboard where I could see it. And he got all there was a couple of things. Anyway, I'm not there anymore. So if I do get a gig, I will let you know. Uh Gem Hater said the mother of pearl is awesome. You're talking about the pick guard, right? Scratch plate on my guitar. Guess what? It didn't come with that. I bought it and put it on there, right? I'm behind the beat, right? It was $800, yeah, right. I also paid $800 for my Gibson Hound Roberts Fusion, which is what Emmett O'Malley plays or played. He still has it, but he doesn't play it much. And Alex Lifeson from Rush. That's why we both have it. And yeah, that's right. I still can't believe Dirk is 58. What's your secret? I don't have a secret. I don't know what it is. I can't believe it either. Tom O'Mato, you get $1.99 prize. Do you want to jam with Mike the Snake? No, I don't. Does he play? I don't jam anyway. Like, here's a problem. Like people say, like, you know how you like Mr. North used to play covers and their own music at the same time. I never did that, and they're better musicians for it because they played everything. I think when you grow up playing other people's music, your chops are defined and you become a much broader musician. I never did. I always was in an original thing, and that just makes me shitty, shittier. Um, Nowadays, hypothetical, you have to get face tattoos and your band goes to number one. Would you do it? No. I don't get the face tattoos. I hope they go away. I have one tattoo. I got it 34 years ago, and I will never get another one. It's the only one I got. It means something to me, very personal, and that's it. Uh, 2024 Tool will play at the Grass Pop Metal Meeting Festival in Belgium. Yippee! It's Tool. I don't get them either. I think he's an interesting guy, Maynard James Keating. Uh, I love that video with the spool of thread that they did way back. Man, that was amazing. But I don't get them. I heard they're great. People love them. They're huge. Um, the manipulator says, go to an AC/DC gig. You'll see preteen people in their AC. Maybe you will. Maybe for bands like that, that are that big. Queensryche never got that big. You go to a Maiden show, and Maiden is still probably the only metal band that's still huge worldwide. They play arenas and stadiums all over the world. Iron Maiden, like they play 3-4 nights at the Garden or Barclays or wherever here. Um, Judas Priest can't do that. They play half-empty theaters. Just not the same. You go to a Maiden show, you might see a couple of youngsters. That's how you know I'm 58. I just said youngsters. The youngsters. People go, "Oh, I'm 30." I'm like, "Oh, you're a baby." I remember when I was 30. I did everything in my life that was amazing before I was 30. Uh, Topster's back. You're very, I love the fact that you're so nice to me today. I used to watch metal videos all day on MTV before the world turned fake and gay. Yeah, I agree. Music is, and I said this, and I'm running over, but I have a couple points to make. I wrote an open letter, and I didn't send it. I don't know why I didn't send it because I never finished it. Open letter to the chairman of the Grammys, the president of NARAS. It's not called NARAS anymore because I watched the last Grammy Awards and the Bad Bunny was on. It was lip syncing. The next act, lip syncing. Next act, lip syncing. Uh, uh, it was a nonstop shit fest. And what I got then, what I got from that was, didn't the guy from Milli Vanilli kill himself because of the shame of having his Grammy revoked and having to publicly humiliate him for lip syncing? Now everyone does it. Not only does everybody do it, now they get honored with Grammy Awards for being fake. And this guy was this beautiful. They were beautiful. They were hired because they could dance, and they were hired because, they look great. A couple of years later, they made an album called Rob and Fab, and guess what? It sounded exactly like Milli Vanilli, and they were singing on it. So I wrote an open letter saying that he owed an apology to the estate and to the family of Fabrice Morvan or Rob Pilatus, and just say we're so sorry because now everything we said about you back then it's bullshit. We give awards away to everybody who's completely fake, and everybody on that thing was completely and utterly fake. It would There was like one or two acts on there that sang live. What the fuck? Uh, Original MC. Steel Panther is another great live band. Settled for the first time in 2010. Gene Simmons' son Nick and Tommy Lee's sister Athena were there that night. Seen Steel Panther nearly 10 times. I don't know where you live. What state? Don't tell me where, but what state do you live in? You guys are talking amongst yourselves this time. Richard says, who remembers the Headbangers Ball? I do. Andrew said, I deserve an amazing watch. That was the most humbling experience of my life, you guys, and I'm still amazed by it. Topster McDonkey, Explorer 39, Explorer 36, two-tone sub, no date, 2019. My favorite, day just 41, chocolate. Cunty. Wow. Easy. Well, we're going to do it every day. Tomorrow it's going to be a Sheen. And I didn't do it yesterday because we had Watch Fashion Police and my computer was acting weird, which it still is. I'll be back Thursday, solo show. And I'll put the links out because I want to do this show alone, but I'm going to want to have some fabulous guests on our show and talk about lots of different things. We're going to pick a subject and we're going to talk about it. Yeah. So Nathaniel Hannon says, "Holy schmagoli, indeed." I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, the dinner. How annoying were they, Nathaniel? They were so annoying. It was like I asked Paul how was his food, and he goes, "That's because he gets gourmet meals cooked for him every night. You know why? Because I cook them." Danny Gutierrez, first solo for Jack. Thank you so much. $2. Carolyn Martin, the incredible Carolyn Martin super sticker. Thanks for the super sticker. It helps out a lot. Appreciate it. I'm going through them quick. Well, that's the restaurant floss. Good luck if you're searching for a new job. I'm actually not right now. I'm powwowing with smarter people than myself, and I've decided that I think I should be done after. Man, I want to tell you something. This job that I had, I worked on the weekends only. I worked brunch in this very famous place, and I'm not gonna name them because I don't want to, because I don't want to give them any publicity. I was just hurt. It, I wasn't angry. I took it so personally because I was always on time. Always. I never took time off. The only time I took time off was the death of both of my parents. And both times I worked the day my mother died, I went to work. What could I do? What could I do? The day my father died, I went to work. And they knew it. They knew I just wanted to work through it. I took off for the one both funerals were on the weekend, and I worked on the weekends. The wakes were during the weekdays, and I didn't have to take off. So the only times I took off, I went in there, I busted my ass, I worked really, really hard. I had a great rapport. I didn't have any problems. This guy told me I had been spoken to and I was falling into my old ways. I went, "What old ways and what's spoken to?" So it was just complete and utter bullshit. But I heard from all the guests, all the customers, because I exchanged. I'm so personal. I'm such a, I'm a friendly guy. Hey, I love your number. I love your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever. Uh, I heard from two people that I worked with, waiters and waitress, and 90% of the customers who said they're not going back. So their loss, right? Um, Andrew says, I've had jobs where I was told to cross train a new guy. That's exactly what happened to me. And you want to hear the funniest story ever, Andrew? So this guy came in and he was really cool. He was trans. He was a cis female, born a woman, transitioned, amazing, super cool guy. He was so good at the bar and a great personality, really bubbly. I trained him twice through two really heavy duty shifts. And you get a free meal because you don't get free meals. You get a free meal if you train somebody. And I didn't take them because I didn't want to eat there. I wanted to go home. I was replaced by him. And here's the funny thing. He quit. He lasted 2 weeks. And he said, fuck this. This is impossible for one guy to do. I never said fuck this. I just worked. I just did my shit, never said anything. So good luck to you, old restaurant. Rufus. I only did original music as well. Couldn't do the whole cover thing. A tasty cover once in a while is the way to go. We covered Secret Agent Man, our Johnny Ripper song on our first record. Dun, 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 dun. And you know what? We still play it live because the fans love it. Isn't that crazy? Huge metal fans. Guy Hayton, huge metal fan here in the UK. I'm 52 years old and going to see Lorna Shore on Saturday. Probably the oldest dude there wearing a battle jacket older than the rest of the audience. Forgive me, I don't know who Lorna Shore is, but she sounds like she's probably great. Doughboy, ZAR. I don't know what 99.99 sounds great. Hammered your first solo. Like, come on. You should record a theme tune for your show. I did, and I finished it today. Isn't that crazy? Actually, I did it a while back, but I went back to it and I changed up the ending to make it funny. And you'll know what it is. And I sent it to Sheen, and he's going to make a video montage. So I did it. So we have a theme song, and it's coming your way soon. Yeah. Yeah, I did ask you rollies, and that is quite the lineup, Tobster. Amazing. Hey, it's Bob Sakamoto. Oh, thanks, man. That's actually my second show. But Sheen did join us for the second half of the first live show. So, okay. I love questions. Name the top 3 James Bond themes. Ladies and gentlemen, number 1, Diamonds Are Forever. Number 2, Goldfinger. And I would like to give Shirley Bassey the third one, even though she it's close. Fuck it, Moonraker. Where are you? Why do you leave me? I mean, amazing. I'm gonna give it to her, but I love a lot of them. I love Tom Jones. I love Thunderball, and I love Chris Cornell's theme song. I didn't like Chris Cornell or Soundgarden at all until I heard that song. Down out, down out, down out, down out. You know my name from Casino Royale, which is outside of the Sean Connery canon, the best James Bond film. Toopster, you should start your own bar. I don't want to be in the bar anymore. I want to have a drink in a bar. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired of that shit. You know, tired of it. Tired. Uh, just trying to get through the things real quick. Most underrated band in metal is Sepultura, Brazilian band. Fantastic band. My friend Mike Portnoy played drums for them for a while, I think, right? No, that was Avenged Sevenfold. Okay. Inverness, right, from Scotland. Fantastic. Watching the new Crown with the Diana thing is very sad. You forget you're watching Elizabeth Debicki. Holy crap. You totally, totally, totally. Uh, listen to Japanese metal, Shusha, Incredible Metal Sounds. I don't know them, but I should have said to OC earlier that I got into Loudness on the very first album, The Birthday Eve. I have all of the Japanese albums with their OBs, the first three. Love, Devil's Land, Devil Soldier. I have them all. What is your favorite cat? 249, Shane McGee. Laverne. Of course, she's my favorite cat. And Felix. Felix the cat. The wonderful, wonderful cat. Goldfinger. He's a man with a Midas touch. Yeah, I mean, come on, Shirley Bassey. She's like pushing 90, and she sang her ass off at the Oscars a couple of years ago. You know, Ray Ray, Dirk, I still hear. Just don't super chat anymore. Hey, man, we do what we can do when we can do it. I'm not super chat. I like to super chat everybody every once in a while too, but I got to watch my pennies right now because I don't have a job. How did that happen? Whoa, 50 pounds. Martin Evans. Are you crazy? Wow. That is so nice. So, 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 so nice. Thank you so much. Wow. Valve likes Moonraker. Thank you so much. Wow. That's incredible. That's very humbling. It's been fun so far, and I like the interaction with you guys better. I mean, we all. I think my stories go on a little long, and they're very detailed. But I'm Irish. I can talk a dog off a meat truck. Easy. He says, Dirk, seriously, I know the owner of Le Colonial. I've been there many times. It's very, very beautiful. And I appreciate the offer. Right now, I want nothing to do with bar service and kissing people's holes. I'm tired of and then I'm not a faker too. I'm not like, if I like you, I like you. If I don't like you, I'll just do my job and pass you by. But I chat up a lot of people, and I've met the greatest people in the entire world. I have met amazing folks. I worked at another bar for 24 years before the pandemic happened, El Rio Grande. I'll say the name of that famous place in New York City, and everybody knows I was there forever and ever and ever. And the pandemic happened, wound up not getting my job back there, wound up at this place, which will remain nameless. And I met absolute wonderful people, fantastic, amazing people who I really love, and I'm so grateful for that. I am sad that some of the people I worked with, i.e., the boss's kids who I loved, I never heard a word from them, and I thought we had a really nice relationship. But that's it, you know. Uh, James Bond, still Cavill is in the running. They're, I don't. All right, before I go, because I'm already over the limit, my friends. I already passed. Mark Gerard. Here's my cat. Here's my favorite cat, Laverne. Hi, honey. Who is your favorite contender for James Bond? Mine was Henry Cavill. I don't think I know anymore. I'm still getting over the fact that Daniel Craig's not coming back. I say, you know what? Fuck it, just keep doing it until you're Roger Moore. Because you really are the best Bond. No Time to Die. The first time I watched it, I thought it was too long. Second time I watched it, I said, this was great. I hated Skyfall. I hated it because they turned him into Batman. I'm a huge Bond fan and a huge Batman fan, and I don't like them to cross pollinate. I don't want him to have his own Alfred. I don't want him to live in a Batcave and have his own Wayne Manor. And that's what they did, and I think that sucked. So, and Laverne's in front of all of the chat, so I can't see what she's saying. So, hey, Mark Gerard, is Asheen? Where is this here? Is Asheen in the room? No, Asheen's in Italy, my friend. And he's editing videos. I know that. Thanks very much. I appreciate the offer. I might hit you guys up if I wind up on the bread line. Go full time YouTube, Dirk. I am. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do weekdays with Dirk, and every day but Wednesday, and it'll be great. Bond score. Anything John Barry did and anything David Arnold did, the rest of them can all go to hell. And on that note, I'm 20 minutes over. I want to say thanks each and every one of you for joining me on my first solo show. Sorry about the long-winded first half, and I love connecting with all of you. Please upvote if you can. Please like and subscribe on the iBashers channel if you can. We're trying to really build that channel. We're so lucky we have the luxury of everybody logging in on Oisin's channel because he's got 100,000 subscribers. I want that. It would be great. And if you can, do it. And if you can't, uh, well, hey, what are you going to do? Anyway, thank you all so very, very much. Go tune into Timmy's show. He's on live right now. And if I was Oisin, I would know how to do that, but I don't. Let me see if I can figure that out. Hold on. Well, YouTube. I'll figure it out. I'll do that. I'll figure it out. So I'll have them show me how to do it tomorrow. So until then, thank you so very much. I'll see you tomorrow with Oisin on Classic iBashers, and Thursday solo. I might have a guest. Thanks everybody very much. Have a great night. Before I go, thank you, Andrew. I'll grab myself a coffee. I will right now. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I had a great time. See you tomorrow.